Super Bowl 27. It was the Cowboys versus the Buffalo Bills. The teams were neck to neck. The game was neck to neck. But then they fumble the ball. And out of nowhere, though, you see the linebacker for the Cowboys, Leon Lett. He recovers the ball. And as soon as he grabs that ball, he takes off. He starts running and running and running. The crowd's going wild. And you see him getting closer and closer and closer to the end zone. But then he gets too confident, too proud. He lets it go to his head. He decides, he's at about the 10-yard line. He decides to put the ball down. You know, he has it up here the whole time. There's really no reason for him to put it down. He just got too cocky. He's putting it down. He's running, though. He's still running. He, slows down. But he doesn't realize that a player from the Bills is right behind him. But when he does, it's too late. He already smacked the ball. He fumbles the ball. Caused him not to get that touchdown. His pride did that. Crazy enough, though, Leon Lett almost set a new record for the longest fumble return. But see, that's the thing. Almost. His pride destroyed his chance to do that. And not only did it damage his chance, but also damage his reputation. Sure, the Cowboys still went on to win that game. But Leon is known as the guy who let his pride make him fumble that ball. This example really reminds me of a king named Uzziah, who not only let his pride destroy his reputation, but also his life. Uzziah can be found in 2 Chronicles 26. If you'll turn there, so you have it ready. So Uzziah, he was crowned at 16. Not much older than I am. And the first thing he did was rebuild Elath. That's a really big deal because Elath hadn't been rebuilt since the days of Solomon. It hadn't been rebuilt or ruled by Judah. So that was a really, really good start for Uzziah. He also made new weapons. He made Judah really strong. So strong, in fact, that his name was spread across the land. If you look at 2 Chronicles 26, starting at verse 15. In Jerusalem, he made devices invented for use on the towers and on the corner defenses, so that the soldiers could not shoot arrows or hurl large stones off the walls. His fame spread far and wide, for he was greatly helped until he became powerful. This shows how powerful Uzziah became. But just like Leon, Uzziah got too proud. He let his pride get to his head. That was ultimately his downfall. If you look at verse 16 through 23. He had become powerful. He'd also become proud, which led to his downfall. He sinned against the Lord, his God, by entering the sanctuary of the Lord's temple and personally burning incense on the incense altar. Azariah, the high priest, went in after him with 80 other priests of the Lord, all brave men. They confronted King Uzziah and said, "This is not for you, Uzziah, to burn these incense of the Lord. That is only work for the priest alone, the descendants of Aaron, who are set apart for this work. Get out of the sanctuary, for you have sinned. The Lord will not honor you." Uzziah, who was holding the incense burner, became furious. And as he was standing there raging at the priest, in front of the incense altar in the Lord's temple, leprosy suddenly broke out on his forehead. When Azariah, the high priest, and all the other priests saw this, they rushed him out. And the king himself was eager to get out, for the Lord had struck him. So King Uzziah had leprosy until the day he died. He lived in isolation and in a separate house, for he was excluded from the temple. His son Jotham was put in charge of the royal palace. He governed the people of the land. When Uzziah died, he was buried with his ancestors. His grave was a nearby burial field belonging to the kings, for the people said he had leprosy, and his son Jotham became the next king. As you can see, Uzziah's decision to light that incense was so dumb. I don't know why he did it. Lighting the incense was essentially his putting down of the ball. He was getting there. He was running to the end zone. He put down that ball, which caused him to fumble that ball, and he ended up separated from God and thrown out of the temple. Not only that, though, he also got leprosy. he was separated from the kingdom. He couldn't even go back in there, into the kingdom. And he was no longer king for the rest of his days. And when he died, he couldn't even get buried with his ancestors. It says it, but he was buried in the field close to them. Because he couldn't be buried in the tomb with the rest of the kings. Because he had leprosy. Do you know Uzziah was almost known as the best king since Solomon? That's one of the biggest honors he could have gotten. But that's the thing, he was almost known. He let his pride destroy his reputation. Sure, the king of Judah still went on to have a good king in Jotham. But Uzziah is still known as the king who let pride destroy him. Don't be like Uzziah. Uzziah chose to be proud. He could have chosen to be humble, but instead he got humble. We should try to do the opposite. We should try to humble ourselves before something happens that humbles you. For example, if you have a secret, confess about it. Confess before someone posts something about it and gets you canceled. If you have an addiction, confess before you overdose. If you have a problem, ask for help. Don't be too proud. Don't be too proud to not ask and let the problem get to the point of it being unfixable. Well, going back to these stories, they have a lot of things in common. But the biggest thing in common is that Leon and Uzziah let pride destroy them. I challenge you today to be careful of your pride, because you don't want to be known as the guy who let your pride destroy you. Choose humility over pride. Just like Leon and Uzziah, though, we all struggle with pride. But we need to strive to put God first through humility. And only when you have done that, you will not fumble the ball. Thank you.